Hey guys, George here from SoundTraxx. Now we've been talking a lot about diesels and showing them in our demonstrations, but I wanted to highlight really that our Tsunami2 steam decoder really is above and beyond anything that you would expect. There's a lot of people that think that because the Tsunami2 is just labeled a steam decoder, that it's just a generic steam sound, you get a few whistles to choose from and so forth. When what I wanted to do is to show you how that's not really true. What we've actually done is we've put all of our steam sounds onto one decoder. That way you don't have to go through and select whether it's a light steam or a heavy steam or a medium steam before you purchase the decoder. You can do that after. Now on our website at soundtraxx.com/manuals, you're going to find the sound selection guide for steam, and this document here outlines all of the 63 whistles that are included in the decoder, all of the 53 different bells that you have to choose from, all of the exhaust chuffs, and then on page 2 you've got your selective air pumps and steam dynamos all on here. Now with all of these choices, they're already built into the decoder, so now instead of having to spend an hour or more in front of a computer downloading information into the decoder, making you the end of our manufacturing process and our quality control, we don't do that. We do all that here for you. We do manually test every one of our decoders. But now instead of having to spend the time in front of a computer, now you can make a couple of CV adjustments and you can make this steam decoder sound like anything that's on this table above and beyond. So let's take a look at a few examples. Now remember, these are all selected with the same decoder, steam, and the CVs have been adjusted accordingly. For example, on this small little American 440, we've selected the C&O flat top single chime whistle. We've got medium exhaust number 1 selected, and we have a hand rung bell. So let's take a listen. You'll also notice that when I turn on the headlight, you're not going to hear that steam dynamo, because in this era a lot of those were oil burning lamps that were used for headlights, and so because there's no dynamo, there's no sound involved. Now for this particular lighting effect, and we'll get a close-up to show you, I've actually selected the ash pan light, so you're actually going to see more of a standard glow or a flowing glow as opposed to a flickering fire. So let's take a listen. And you'll also notice that there's no air sounds. It's because this locomotive was run pre-air brakes. And so I've taken the volume control for the air pressure sounds that would normally be accompanied with the brake and set those to 0, and therefore allowing just the squeals to take place. Now in this locomotive, this is a 460 from Bachmann that I've custom painted for my Missouri Pacific lines that I model. But in this particular locomotive, we're using a heavy exhaust number 2, and I've also got it using the Santa Fe 6-chime whistle that's option number 0 on your whistle list. So let's take a listen. You can kind of hear a little bit of reverb in that whistle as well. You can also hear that steam dynamo, and you can hear that blower in the background. It's different. Now the blower will change as you select different exhaust types, and so listen to them and select one that matches your locomotive. Now with this SP&S Challenger, we've actually also selected heavy exhaust number 2, but we have this set up for an articulated with a slow wheel slip. And we've also selected the Baldwin Class B4G whistle option number 1, or CV value number 1, for the whistle. So let's take a listen. Now we'll use the brakes to bring it to a stop. Change directions. Release the brakes. And you're hearing that 8 chuffs per revolution as the locomotive moves. Now that we've listened to a few of the different selections that you have, let's talk about a little bit more that you have to customize the decoder to operate just like the model you've installed it in. In CV112, we've got several different features that are built into the decoder. For example, you can select between a power reverse or a manual Johnson bar. So if you're modeling something like turn of the century or some of these early locomotives that were running before the power reverse, you'll hear that loud ka-thunk. But later on, with sticky mechanisms, things like that, power reverses were introduced to help make it easier for the engineers. So most of these later locomotives have a power reverse, and that's that big cylinder on the side that's connected to the linkage. You can select between the two. You can also select the type of fuel that's being used. And this is really a cool feature, because if you've got a wood burning locomotive, you can have the sound of wood being thrown on a pile when Fireman Fred is loading wood. You can have the sound of the crackling fire as Fireman Fred opens the firebox and tosses in the wood. You've also got hand shoveled coal, auger fed coal, or even oil burner. And each of these have their own unique loading sequence sounds, as well as Fireman Fred's operation. So with the auger fed, you're going to hear the auger running in the background, and with the oil filled, you're going to be hearing the atomizer running in the background. You can also select between a lifting or a non-lifting type injector. And CV112 also allows you to customize for the number of cylinders on a locomotive. So if you have a conventional rod locomotive, which of course creates the 4 chuffs per revolution as the cylinders go in and out, you can also do the sound of an articulated. And the articulated sound, you're going to get that 8 chuffs per revolution. And you can actually have them simulate wheel slip. And wheel slip is the sound of the chuffs going in and out of sync with each other. So you can have 4 wheel slip speeds: none, slow, medium, and fast. On most of my articulateds, I tend to do it at a slow pace, but you can pick one that matches your personal preference. With our Tsunami2, you can also match the cadence of a 3-cylinder, so you're going to get that offbeat chuff, 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 chuff sound as your locomotive is running down the track. Now, with all of these different combinations, excluding volume control and things like that, we've got over 769 million, yes, I said million, combinations of sounds that you can have operating in your Tsunami2 steam decoder. So with that, we should be able to accomplish matching any locomotive that you would have in your steam roster. So I would recommend trying it out, and if you have any questions, please give us a call. This is in our Tsunami2 steam decoders now, ready to go at your stores. For more information, please go to the website, SoundTraxx.com, and read through our user's guide, and it'll really walk you through how to set that decoder up. And again, if you have any questions, please give us a call.